Hey everybody, I am Sarah Chipperfield and welcome to the Happy, Healthy, and Hot web series, where I have experts sharing tips on how to create a life and body you love. Today, my expert is KG Stiles, and she is here to talk to us today about shifting your mindset with essential oils. Hi KG, welcome to the web series.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah.
I am beyond excited to have you on today because I love everything that you're about. So I want to quickly introduce everybody to you so that they get to know a little bit about what you're going to be talking about today. So you're an aromatherapist, you're a metaphysical coach, and a holistic health educator with more than 35 years experience. And you've also worked with celebrities and have been referred to as the aromatherapist to the stars. So I am beyond excited to hear all of your stories and the benefits of essential oils, and hopefully try and educate people on the uses of them and how to find a more natural way to heal their bodies and to get healthy. So thank you so much for being here today to talk to us.
It's great. It's great to be here.
So KG, can you talk to us about how you got started with essential oils and your holistic approach to healing?
As a young girl, as a small child, I was very tuned in to the natural world, and as a lot of children, I communicated with the fairies and, just really had that connection. I had like a little bird sanctuary and just, I had a very active sort of childhood with the spiritual worlds, you might say. And one of the things I noticed right away as a child, I think had the ability to really observe people early on and just pay attention to what was going on with them. I could kind of see that. I don't know how else to say it, but I could kind of see what was going on with them, why they were having a problem. And that's something I noticed right away too, was that people were always having problems. And I always wanted to help, them solve their problems. And so right away, I saw that it was the way they were thinking that created most, if not all, of their problems. And so I started at a young age. I knew I wanted to help people shift their mindset, and I wanted to find a way to do that. I wanted to help people from early on.
Okay, and so was this something that that your parents got you into, as far as with essential oils and finding that road in order to help people with that kind of that vehicle?
My grandmother was really into flowers and smelling flowers. She loved her roses. She had, she was an avid gardener. So I really was very tuned in to flowers and the smelling aromas, and how that really seemed to help my grandmother, because she was kind of serious-minded woman, and she just lightened up and loved being in her garden.
Yeah.
And my mother was a cosmetologist. She had a real love for beauty, and I wanted to, those things were important to me, that people feel good, and beauty seemed to be a part of that, natural beauty.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, aromatherapy has been around, essentially forever. It's like you said, it's flowers, it's out in nature, and the whole form of essential oils is basically just having the ability to bottle that, correct?
Yes. Well, essential oils, distillation for getting essential oils hasn't been around that long. It's it's a few thousand years, but aromatic plants, yes, have been around and used in healing. And the earliest aromatherapists were probably shamans, and they would use different aromas to help people with helping them to, whether it was a physical injury. We see this on the caves where they have drawings of plants. We see this in the sarcophagi of the Egyptian priests, how they would have certain essential aromatic plants like myrrh. Cypress was often used to fashion the sarcophagi. It had an association forever. I don't know when it started, with the god Pluto, the god of the underworld. And as a matter of fact, we're coming up here on Easter. I understand, legend has it that Jesus' cross was fashioned from cypress, the wood of cypress.
Wow. Well, that's a learning lesson. So, KG, like I got introduced to essential oils, I would say probably 6 years ago. And I really started to use them when I got pregnant. And I mixed them with, different types of massage, whether it was, foot massage or hand massage, and really trying to focus on making sure that I dealt with, all of the pregnancy ailments as naturally as I could, because that was important to me. But when have you used essential oils to, heal yourself or heal your clients? When do you use them? Is there ever a bad time to use them? And what kind of results do you see with them?
That's a big question. I have to say, maybe we can wind back to when I discovered, I was really into the transformational healing arts from the days of Findhorn. Before that, I was really into Carl Jung and his work and working with the mind and understanding how the mind works, that sort of thing. When I went to Findhorn in Scotland was when I got turned on to transformational healing. And then I understood the place to get training was in San Diego in the US. That was sort of a mecca. That was back in the late 70s. And and also consciousness studies was very hot. And so I just trained in lots of different things. And then that's when I really turned on to essential oils as a way to shift mindset. I saw how using them in conjunction with massage therapy, I was trained as a massage therapist and worked in holistic health, and how it could really change people's lives. People who especially were willing to pay attention to themselves and do regular self-care were the ones who really I saw tremendous benefits over a long time, not just when they were in crisis. So I hope something I've shared answers, your question about when to use them and, what I've found to be best.
Okay.
I think any kind of healthcare that not that you're not always changing and mixing things up with your practices and what you're doing, but to be consistent and what you decide to do is when you're going to notice long-term benefits.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And I've actually found that, the essential oils that I'm attracted to change all throughout, my life, throughout the week, depending on what I'm looking for. If I'm looking for something that has more, stress relieving properties, like I use lavender all the time in my house. Helps my son sleep better. Helps me get rid of any headaches. Helps him with his growing pains. So I just find that there's always different uses depending on what you need in your life. Do you have any other suggestions for if somebody's dealing with a lot of stress? I know that lavender is a great one. Can you?
Well, a lot of times stress is related to the nervous system.
Okay.
Right. So one of the best oils I found for neutralizing negative situations, as well as for regulating, balancing the nervous system if you're stressed, is ylang ylang. Especially ylang ylang 3 is especially high in the sesquiterpenes, which are very relaxing and calming to the nervous system. Another oil, spikenard, is also high in sesquiterpenes. That was another oil that was used in the foot balm that Mary Magdalene used to anoint Jesus' feet.
Okay.
Those are two that come to mind right away. It's the sesquiterpenes. If you can find the oils that are high in sesquiterpenes, that's what I recommend if it's a stress.
Okay.
And it's very personal, as you're saying. It's very individual. One person will have an amazing response to lavender, whereas another, it just doesn't do much for them.
Yeah.
So you do need to try different oils. I also recommend that you do, when you buy oils, you buy an oil that has been GCMS tested. That's sort of the gold standard of essential oils. Not only do you make sure that it's pure and unadulterated, so you'll get the therapeutic benefits, but you'll also see the chemical profile, so you'll see the active ingredients. And someone who's knowledgeable in essential oils and selling essential oils, that information, they may be even talking about that it's high in sesquiterpenes and good for the nervous system, that sort of thing, where you're buying it from. So those are, two of the things.
Yeah. Well, and the quality of the essential oils is really important, right? Because it's
yes, that's why GCMS tested. Then you'll know they're pure. And then also, a lot of people go for the organic oil, and that's not the first thing to look for. Okay. I love organic oils. Try to get them whenever I can, but before an organic oil, it's important that it's pure and unadulterated. It can be an organic oil, it can be mixed with other oils, you don't know just because it says organic. It can be mixed with other organic oils, or so if you have a GCMS, you know exactly what is in the oil, and you know the profile, because that's another thing with an organic oil. It may be certified organic. It may have the chemical, may be pure, but it doesn't have the chemical profile, which is what I'm finding with organic oils a lot, that they haven't been around as long. And what you find with especially wildcrafted oils right out of nature, that they haven't been cultivated, and they have a lot of the broad spectrum of chemicals available, and we don't even know why certain things work. I mean, we're more and more researching and finding out, breaking things apart and understanding what chemicals are doing what, but it's such a complicated thing, nature, that, and how it all is working together. I mean, it can look like a tiny little bit in the profile of the plant, but that tiny little bit may make all the difference in the therapeutic effect. So, that's a big subject.
Okay. So what is the difference on, how aromatherapy versus, straight oils on the skin? What's the difference between how that affects people?
Okay, well, the research shows the best way to get results with essential oils is through direct inhalations. That's how they affect you the most. If you want, in the hormonal system, they immediately get into the bloodstream as well. Another way is, using massage. You're going to breathe it in when you're getting a massage. You're going to also get that direct inhalation. And then on the skin is the best way if you want to work with the muscles and the joints, is the best way is a aromatherapy massage. And then also I like using essential oils in the bath, properly, in a proper dispersant. And you get the direct inhalation as well as the heat and the moisture help to release the essential oils, and it gets absorbed directly through the skin and into the bloodstream. So you're getting a good direct internal application. It's a safe way to use oils internally. When you ingest oils as a medicinal, that's primarily the way people are seeing problems is through ingestion, because you really need to know the oils and work with somebody who really knows about using the oils internally, because they can get hung up. Some of them can be neurotoxins or toxic to the liver or the kidneys. So, they can build up if you use them, ingest them, and they're not properly diluted in a proper carrier and stuff. You can safely use them, and essential oils, most essential oils are GRAS, which means generally regarded as safe by the FDA for use as food flavors. And they are in a lot of foods are flavored with essential oils.
Okay. Well, and again, getting back to the quality of the oils, not all oils are high enough quality where you would consider them to be a food grade, right? So you need to do your due diligence on where you're buying them.
Make sure it's a pure oil.
Yeah, yeah. So again, I love using aromatherapy, putting the oils directly on my skin for, all different kinds of ailments. Can you maybe talk to us a little bit about, what oils are best for energy? I know that for me, I love peppermint.
That's the number one oil for energy.
It's such a fantastic oil, and especially I live in Canada, so we get a lot of Chinooks and a lot of cold weather, and even if I get stuffy, I'll put a couple drops of peppermint under my tongue. Again, my peppermint is food grade, and it just clears up my sinuses. It gives me that little kind of pep in my step. So do you have any other kind of tips for people for kind of increasing their energy with essential oils?
Well, peppermint is the number one for energy. It's higher as a stimulant and higher in its effect than caffeine. So that says a lot. That's what the research shows. Eucalyptus is a really good oil for if you're congested in any of your thoughts. The oils, the wonderful thing about essential oils is they work on a physical as well as body, mind, spirit, emotional level as well. So if you're feeling congested in your thoughts, eucalyptus is really good. Or if you're congested in your sinuses, eucalyptus is really good. I love eucalyptus. It's a really broad, one of those broad spectrum oils. Has a lot of applications. Those are the two that come to mind. I mean, there are some other oils, but they're not as, I wouldn't rate them as high as a stimulant, as something that's going to really get things moving, which is what I'm hearing you're asking for.
Yeah. Well, and I made the mistake once of in my steam shower, I put eucalyptus oil and I put peppermint oil. And putting that much peppermint oil in my steam shower was not a good thing. I actually ended up, I didn't realize that it would cause me to get cold.
Yes.
So I wasn't prepared for that aspect of it. I was just thinking, okay, this will energize me. It'll clear my sinuses. But I wasn't prepared to be cold in my steam shower. So that's a little, word of wisdom from me for anyone who's watching. So
constrictor. So it has a if you use too much, it will cool you down. Great for hot flashes.
Yeah, I actually didn't think about that. Well, and so this is actually a perfect segue into your book, because you have written the most amazing book called The Essential Oil Reference Guide. It is, it's huge, but it's jam-packed with, you've got recipes in there, you've got, everything in there. You've got everything about meridians, your organs, where you can find connectors. Can you talk to us a little bit about your book? Because I feel like it can really help anybody who's watching this and kind of going, I'd love to know a little bit more about essential oils, have some sort of a reference guide at home so that I can learn a little bit more, because there is a lot to learn about essential oils.
There is a lot, and the book is written in such a way that it's good for the novice beginner as well as an advanced aromatherapist. And it really does take you step by step. You know, when I wrote the book, I thought back to when I was really learning what was the right way of introducing everything, all the steps along the way, so that it was like a building block. You were like building a house, you know, and so that you were being taken by the hand step by step to understand about essential oils. So it's, you know, the first part of the book is an orientation. So you get a little bit of history, what they are, how they work. You know, and then, you know, you as you go on through, you learn about basic blending, so you understand. Then I give you all the different recipes and formulas you could possibly ever need for beauty and health, holistic health, and women's healing, and mommies and new babies, and you know, food preparation, and you know, energy healing. As you said, there's all these blends for spiritual healing. There's romance blends. There's, you know, how to make perfumes, how do you make spa treatments, beauty treatments. It's a, you know, there are also different guides so that it's very simple. You have reference guides throughout, and at the end of the book you can refer to, so you have like a quick kind of cheat sheet, so you know, well, which do I use for this, or what do I use for this. So there's a lot of what's the word? I'm just very considerate. You know, I'm very thoughtful about how I present things, and so that everything is covered, so that you know, and also I go into detail on safe use of essential oils.
Yeah.
So I getting up on your screen.
Pardon?
I just had something pop up on the screen. I hope it didn't pop up on your screen.
No, it didn't. It didn't.
Sorry about that. Good.
No, don't worry about it. The beauty of live video, right? So when we first started talking about, you know, doing this interview, and when I really started to look into your book, for me as a mom, it just really resonated, because I love being able to treat as many things as I possibly can naturally. It just it works with you know, the kind of parent that I want to be, and I also want to always be open to those things, and to allow my son to be open to, you know, all different kinds of healing, and to make up his own decisions, and he actually really does well with essential oils. You know, he reacts really well and really quickly to them. So, you know, I look at your reference guide, and I kind of think that it's such a blessing for someone like me who might not be, you know, getting into it as a profession. But, you know, if my son has a stomach ache, I would love to know, you know, where to massage on his feet.
Absolutely.
You know, and what to do that could possibly help him, rather than just, you know, jumping to Tylenol or, you know, some form of medication.
Well, one of the beautiful things in the book and at the end also is you have your dilutions guide, so you exactly know the age category, exactly how much to use, and with your child, or with an elderly, or an infirm person, or, you know, the recipes are such so that you do blends, and then you make your own. If you want to use them, you have guide to how to use them with different people, depending upon if it's a child or what age they are, or if it's somebody, you know, depends upon the situation.
Yeah.
And that is all just spelled out. It's very clear. So there's no mystery or whatever exactly how to do that. And also with children, I do go into using the oils with children. I also go into using the oils with animals and pets. And what I recommend, whether you're using with children or with your animals and pets, is that you always use self-selection, which I'm hearing already as a good mom. You're seeing that how your son is responding to the oil. You're not just, this is supposed to be good, here, have this.
Yeah,
you know, you're making him part of the process and allowing him to self-select and let you know what he is responding well to and what he likes. So you do need to be mindful of that, not just put something on. You should never put something on yourself either. If so lavender, a lot of people love lavender. If you don't love lavender, don't put lavender on yourself. That's a part of self-care, that you're really tuned into yourself and what you love, and that you're paying attention to your what is naturally innate to you. I really am a big supporter of listening and being your natural self, the freedom to be your natural self, and to grow the way that is right for you, and to get the support you need, and to be around the people that support you, the environment that supports you to do that.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, to be able to make those decisions where you say, no, there's just something about this one that just doesn't, resonate with me. I had a girlfriend of mine who had purchased an oil blend, and it was called Joy, and it was a blend of, a bunch of different essential oils, and she started laughing, and she said, is it bad that I hate the smell of joy? And, and she felt bad. She thought that it had some sort of, a direct reflection on her. And it was like, no, not everybody is meant. It's the same thing with flowers. Whether you don't like the look of a specific flower, you don't love the smell of a specific flower. It's that same thing. You don't need to force yourself into it.
It could change. That could change. It can be just where your neurochemistry is and how it's affecting you right now. It's not what you need, and you should listen to that. Doesn't mean in another time, I love this now. It can change. So respect yourself.
Do you do a lot of work with your clients on, helping them kind of release some of these old or negative emotions that aren't working for them anymore with essential oil?
And I even talk about that in the book, about how blocked, stuck emotions is what I find has been the genesis of most disease processes from my years of working with people. It's because people haven't allowed themselves to feel their feelings. They somehow feel that's bad to have that feeling, or they're not comfortable with that feeling. And I found that, when you get into a habit, so that after a while, you're not even in touch with your feelings.
Yeah.
You've just numbed out on what feelings that you do have. And your feelings are important. They give you a message. They tell you, they help to orient you. They help you to be, when you begin to block your emotions and you're stagnant in that way, your intuition really shuts down. So then that's one of your primary navigational tools for getting through life is your ability to intuit when something is right for you or not. If you're, I use my intuition so much to know, so I'm in the right place at the right time, and people show up, and there's no way I could plan for that. It's something that is orchestrated from something beyond myself. I mean, to me, life is a mystery, and it will always be a mystery. I don't think that you can reduce things, this reductionist thing, to find out about how life works. It's just, we're never going to understand, what understanding we have, is very limited. And I find my intuition gives me access to these mysteriously knowing how to navigate through my life in a way that keeps me safe, that, gets me, so the prosperity flows. Everything just kind of flows in your life. When you're really aligned with your natural self, the voice of your natural self is your intuition. From my perspective, that's how your natural voice speaks. So, yeah, a lot of the oils are great for unblocking emotions. Very good.
Well, and really, when you look at life and the majority of people's anxiety and stress and fear, it's based around the things that they can't control. And when you start to look at it, really the only thing that you can control is yourself. So if you can be more grounded in your decision-making ability, or your intuition, or your values or thoughts, and the more grounded that you can be in yourself, the more that you can control what you can control.
Yes, yes, because you cannot control things outside of yourself,
Yeah.
and if you're operating from that mindset, then life is always going to be unstable. You're always going to be trying to figure out how to be, or those sorts of things from outside in, and it just doesn't. You can't navigate from outside in. It doesn't work.
Yeah. So what is the process, that you go through with people when you're dealing with, like, let's say, getting over limiting beliefs? I'm sure that it's similar to, dealing with people's issues around food or weight loss, right? Like just that kind of heaviness that the majority of people feel. So do you, when you're dealing with your clients, or when you're taking them through the steps, do you have them, kind of, smell the essential oils, see which ones kind of resonate, and then, just teach them to relax as they put them on? Or do you kind of tell them to put them on different spots? Can you kind of walk us through how someone would go through using essential oils to heal themselves?
Well, again, the self-selection. I do, in working with clients, I do get an intuition about what would work well with them, but then they need to also check it out and see how they're responding. I have had really good success, and then after people get warmed up to using essential oils and their effectiveness, they've kind of had that introduction. Most of the people I know just really love being able to go explore essential oils and creating their sort of own medicine cabinet of essential oils that they know how to use. I mean, similar to you. I mean, that's, it sounds like that's what you did yourself. You had an introduction, and then it was just a natural thing that you wound up building over time, your cabinet toolkit of oils that you go to, and when to. So it's really kind of an organic process that can happen. It's not really. I think that the oils themselves, they're vapors. They're more etheric, and so they have a subtle nature to them. And so I think that's one reason why they work so deeply in us, because there is that vibrational, etheric quality to them. One of the things that means is that, especially the citrus oils, because they're volatile, they can go off, what we call go off. They can oxidize, and they will begin to go rancid. And so you want to refrigerate. I refrigerate most of my oils, except for the more thick oils like myrrh and sandalwood and vetiver, because they're more dense, and they're not as volatile, and so they don't tend to be really active, and they're not going off. They're not gonna, some of the oils actually, like sandalwood, will actually mature and get better as they mature with age.
Wow.
Does that answer your question? Did I?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I think for everybody, it's just a matter of, like you said, being introduced to it, allowing yourself to kind of, even get started with, I started with simple ones like lemon and lavender, and even when I was going into labor, I made my own, foot rubs with the essential oils that really resonated with me, and we had a diffuser. We got to bring it into my labor and delivery room, and all of the nurses just kept going, "Oh my goodness, we love your room. It smells so beautiful in here," and it just felt right for me. And then it snowballed. I clean with essential oil, and again, you need to be careful if you've got marble or granite. You need to make sure that, because lemon is abrasive, and so you definitely need to make sure the products that you're using. But I love cleaning, especially with a toddler who has got everything in his mouth, or, did when he was younger. I just love knowing that I don't have to worry about using extra chemicals, around him. So however people decide to get into essential oils, whether it's just starting with cleaning products, or, starting with putting lavender on a burn, I just think that it's really empowering to know that they've got, a reference guide with what you've provided to start to build on them and to learn how to use them to deal with a lot of underlying issues that can really keep you from living this really happy and fulfilling life.
One thing I would like to add also is that I think it's a good way to also grow your relationship with yourself, is caring for yourself, and also to trust yourself to know what is right for you.
Yeah.
And because I think a lot of people, the clients I've worked with, they deferred the power of choice for what's right for them over to maybe a parent or a husband or a sister, or there could be a number of people that they go to find out what to do, what's right for them. And nobody knows what's right for you like you do. So I think that using essential oils and building your relationship with the oils will help you to, if you have kind of become dissociated from your natural self, that it will help you to rebuild that relationship and open your intuition and begin to trust yourself. So it can help with that also, which I think is a very important. They can be really good friends and allies to help you in that way.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you on that. There was essential oils that I used when I, decided to do a lot of work on grief over losing my nephew. And there are specific oils, and you put them on at specific times, and you think about, specific things when you're doing it. And it's for me, it's been, a really healthy form of, therapy, but an empowering one, where I'm making this decision. And it doesn't matter how many people, close to me have said, those don't work, you're wasting your money. My big thing is, if it resonates with me, then I need to follow through on that. And I've been so happy that I have always been able to kind of find my voice around that and just say, you're entitled to your opinion, and I'm entitled to mine. And I absolutely love my essential oils. I totally agree with you on how they can really help, help people through different areas of their life. So I was wondering, what are some of your favorite success stories from some of your clients, when it comes to using essential oils, and maybe what they came to you for?
Yeah, so one of my success stories, well, I had this client who had all kinds of things going on with her health. She had really poor diet, lots of sugar for very many years, and just processed food. And she had developed Crohn's, and she had terrible allergies, and she had to go get a shot every week, and she was on heavy allergy medication. And so we did get her Crohn's under control, but most of all, the allergies, that was the big thing. I put her on blue tansy, and over time, I would say in about 6 months to a year, she got off all shots. She no longer did shots, and she no longer did any medications. She had and she would just periodically use the blue tansy. And sometimes she didn't have her blue tansy with her, but she could feel she was being around something. She was feeling herself being a little sensitive. And she didn't want to have she didn't want to go into a reaction. And so she was just thinking about her blue tansy, getting back to her blue tansy. She was thinking blue tansy, and she said, she was fine. She was able to. So it's interesting because the way the mind works, because if you just imagine something, the way the mind, if you're just imagining the effects of something, the mind doesn't know the difference between her actually having smelled the blue tansy and her having an imagination of getting back and smelling her blue tansy. So that's what that says to me. Does that make sense?
It's the whole placebo effect, right? When they run these test trials and they give half of the group, a pill with nothing in it and tell them what it is, what it's supposed to be, and then they give the other half a pill with, whatever the medication is. And I completely agree with you. Our mind is really capable of some pretty amazing stuff. If we just allow ourselves to channel it properly, right? And it's not like she wouldn't still go and grab the oil when she gets home. But, even when it comes to people being, having anxiety or stress, it's like, if you can just think about that smell of, whether it's lavender or what kind of calms you down, if you can just even think about that and just deep breathe and,
Yes. So you're developing a relationship with the oil so that, you respond, in your nervous system, because it's your nervous system, your mind. The nervous system is really the physical, manifestation of the mind.
Yeah. Well, and even developing a better relationship with yourself that you can say, no, we can get through this, right? Like I can do this. Yes. And I can calm myself out of whatever situation I'm in.
Yes.
So you've got a ton of online courses, that you offer, and one of them is, essential oils for weight loss. So, I mean, you really have found a way to incorporate essential oils into all aspects of people's lives. Yes. What kind of results do you get from your clients with the essential oils for weight loss?
Yes. Well, I am growing my online courses. I do have a lot of books that really walk you through, that you could use like a course or use like a guide for using the oils, that sort of thing. The essential oils for weight loss course, there's actually, if you wanted to just try it out, there is a free one. I think we're going to offer that as a gift to people, so they can check it out for themselves. Just a little bit of touching into and seeing if it's, something they want to explore. So yes, I actually did a little research with women locally. There were 6 women. It was actually advertised in our local paper, the Locals Guide. And I interviewed a number of women who wanted to do this research study. And I chose 6 because I thought they would do what I told them to do. One of the requirements was there could be no dieting whatsoever. There's been a lot of research on dieting and how it actually contributes to weight gain over time. And it actually can really ruin and, impede your natural metabolism functioning properly, and as well as turn off your appetite control, so you don't know when you're hungry or when you're. And so, anyway, the 6 women, I formulated a blend using, and I do give my formulas in the course, the full-on course, as well as go into detail on all the essential oils that are in the formulas, and tell you how you can use them individually or use the blend, and when to use them. That's probably the most important thing. Anyway, these 6 women, over a 6-week period, they followed my instructions, and all of them lost weight. One was very petite. She didn't have much weight to lose to begin with. She only lost 1 pound. The rest lost between 6 to 10 pounds. They were much more overweight. A number of them had health-related issues, and they got those within that period of time. They actually got those issues under control. So they were no longer concerned about the things that were bothering them. They got checked by a doctor. And anyway, I felt that that was a success.
Yeah.
There was one of the things that all of the women reported, all of them, was that they noticed their awareness about what they were eating really changed and how it was affecting them. And naturally, some of the things they were eating just naturally fell away. They didn't think about, just suddenly they realized, oh, I haven't been having a candy bar every afternoon, or I haven't been having that bowl of popcorn with a movie, or, it was some, and then they were also, like I said, had an awareness about how the foods they were eating, how they were actually, if they were energized by the food, if they felt sluggish after eating the food. That was nothing I talked to them about. That was just all of them. When they individually talked to me, they did talk about how their awareness, their consciousness about what they were eating, how that had grown. So I think that's one of the amazing things about essential oils. I said before, they work on all levels. So they do work at that consciousness, awareness level, as well as the body, mind, emotions level.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. What a great study. That must have been really fun for you to, to put that together.
Yeah, it was, it was reported. It was, in our little tiny community, it was a big deal. It went on a few years, it got pressed. So
that's awesome. So is one of the main ingredients grapefruit?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's again, one of my favorites. And I tried to use that as much as I could. After I had my son, just I would rub it on with a carrier oil or put it in my water. And people just don't realize that, when you're looking at these oils, and the pure oils that are actually coming, directly from whether it's a plant or a fruit, you're just getting back to more of a natural diet, and making sure that you're feeding your body really what it needs and it will thrive best on. And people have been doing that for thousands of years. And I feel like you really start to get empowered because you learn so much more about food. Like even grapefruit. I had no idea that it was so helpful in weight loss or in the breakdown of fat. So it's just an amazing avenue of knowledge to go down if people haven't already been down that road of aromatherapy.
Yeah, the citral and the citrus oils and grapefruit's high in citral. It does burn fat, is a fat burner, the research shows. And also the monoterpenes are also really good for increasing the metabolism. That's another thing that's been shown. And I also want to comment, some people want to know, does it have the same effect as grapefruit for as far as if you have breast cancer, and that's not a concern. It has a totally different, the way it works and everything, it's not a concern. It's not going to be counter indicated.
Okay.
And so all of this safety, like I say, each of the oils, there are over 13 of the just common oils that I go into, and all the benefits and the research and, how to use them. And then I also have another 31 supplemental oils. So there are over, 44. There are also some other oils that are mentioned in there. I talk a little bit about those that are in some of the formulas that are additional. So it covers there's a big toolkit. I put together a big toolkit of essential oils to use for yourself.
Gotcha. Well, and again, it's, people need to make sure that, they check with their doctors. I know that there's a few medications, that you can't mix with grapefruit. But yeah, I mean, I cannot even talk highly enough about my own personal, story when it comes to essential oils. I think that they're phenomenal, and I love that my son loves them so much as well, and that he reacts so well. So, what are you working on right now? Like, I know that you are talking about some of your courses and some of your books. What's your main focus right now?
Well, I'm launching a new website, kgstiles.com, and I'm always writing and publishing, putting out new blogs and such, and I write for a number of different publications. Since the book came out, I've been asked to be interviewed for different articles and stuff that are about, like we're doing here with the summit. So, that's a lot of what we're doing right now. Looking to, after we get the website launched, I will start producing some more courses. We did launch KG Learning, which is the site just for the courses, and it's a part of the kgstiles.com website.
Perfect, and that's where people can go to learn a little bit more.
Yes.
So what is the biggest source of happiness in your life right now, and how much time and energy do you spend on it?
I think most of the biggest source of happiness is just being in my own heart and being my own natural self, and feeling the love, expressing love, being the love, feeling the love, being in that state as much as possible. Another source of great happiness is my son. He'll be here for Mother's Day. He comes up regularly. He lives down in Hollywood. So I think, he really helped me to reconnect with unconditional love, because I didn't experience unconditional love growing up as a child, except from my godmother, who I thought was God's mother. I was with her from the time I was 6 weeks of age until I went off to school, and during the days, and she loved me unconditionally, but my parents, grandma, they wanted me, I was conditioned like everybody, to be a good girl and to be nice and to, and so you can get the message that something is not okay about you, and it's not okay to be your natural self, and it's not, so it was nice to have that countered, because I could do nothing wrong with my godmother, Miss Florence. I mean, I was perfect. I was God's perfect child. I was perfect. And so I did get a lot of that as a counterbalance. I think you're very fortunate if you get that kind of unconditional love and support, which I've always given my son. He's very fortunate in that way. And he's just I think everyone's phenomenal if they got that unconditional love and nurturance and learn to trust themselves. They need some basic, you need basic values. But all of that, a lot of that is just a natural, I always was very honest and truthful with him, and would treat him with respect, and felt he would understand, why I wouldn't just put something on him like, you do this because I say you do this. Yeah. I never did that with him. I never put power over him. I always helped him to be empowered to make choices, so that when he was an adult, and he's doing very well as an adult with making choices, and you make mistakes, you do, that's a part of it. That's a part of it. It helps you become who your potential is. Yeah. So, I think, steering trying to get your child to be perfect so that they never make a mistake. I don't think I don't think we've seen that's worked.
Well, and we get to decide how we parent, and it can be the same as the way that we were parented, or it can be totally different. So I love that. I love that you're coming from a place of, like you said, like empowerment, making your own choices and being really in tune with yourself and saying, no, this is actually how I want, this resonates with me. This is how I want to raise, my son.
The way you raise your child is the way you raise your child. And it's perfect for the two of you. Just like, and it's a natural, organic, spontaneous thing, that you're in your heart, and it flows. It's not coming out of some handbook of
perfect parenting.
I mean, you can use that. You can tune in all that information and see what resonates for you. But you need to always check into your heart what feels right for you.
Yeah. No, I love that. What a perfect way to, close out this interview is, you really getting back to, really what got you into the line of work that you're in. And, what's kept you there is just being so in tune with yourself and being true to you. And, and having the guts and the ability to talk about that to other people. So thank you so much.
I'm feeling to share this. I want to kind of give an example of this in my own life. I've always wanted to be a published author. And for 10 years I wrote, and I finally screwed up the courage I was going to do it. I was writing regularly, submitting regularly. I did get some awards. I did it for 10 years. I had a closet I made where I did my writing, and I was in that closet every day writing, and submitting and getting my rejections. And then, I just, after 10 years, it was like, Amazon came along. I started doing Amazon Kindle so that I was publishing my work and I was making income, and I stopped doing the traditional, submitting and all the rejections and stuff. And then a couple of summers ago, this well-known New York agent contacted me out of the blue and wanted to represent me. And she walked me through, I checked her out, and it was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. And so she's very well known. She's been a VP with HarperCollins, and been with, worked with many of the major publishers. She's worked with big authors like Stephen King. And she walked me through the process of writing a book proposal, and she got me in front of over 150 well-known publishers, and she got me a great book deal for her first book. Yeah, it was amazing. It was and at the best of all worlds, I got to work with an independent publisher, so I got a lot of one-on-one working, and they have their distributors, Macmillan, one of the top 5 distributors of books in the world, so their networks are vast for sales. So, and she's, that I think is an example of just living true and how things can, it didn't come about the way, you know what I'm saying? But all those years of sitting and working, and, I was committed, and I didn't give up the dream. I just took a different avenue. And then I was able to attract, this to me, rather than just hunt and pack, trying to find a place, to find a publisher. And now that what I know about the publishing industry, it's like, I'm so glad I have an agent, because and it's hard to find an agent, and a good agent that you're really compatible with.
Yeah. But you put in the time, and you put in the energy, and you get that out, and people need to realize that is, like anything, you get in what you put out, and sometimes it just takes a little bit longer. But I truly believe that you get everything, in due time and exactly the way that it's, supposed to be. So yeah, I love that story. Thank you for sharing that with us. So how do people get a hold of you? What is the best, website for them to go to, to see what you're doing?
Yes, well, you can go to the kgstiles.com website. I'm not sure when this is coming out, if we'll have the new site. We're nearing when it's going to get launched. I do have my own line of aromatherapy products. PurePlantEssentials.com is the store for Pure Plant Essentials. So, either of those, and there are contact forms. If you just go where the contact is, that's probably the best way to reach me. I'm much more available to respond to email than a phone call. I'm a very hands-on person with my work. So I'm even though I live a very private kind of, I'm a very quiet person. My lifestyle that I have, it's kind of meditative, more reclusive, really. I always want people to be able to have access to me and to be responsive to people and to support them. And so, I'm not one of those people that I always respond to people. I don't just ignore people who reach out to me. I always take everything, I always want to be available to people. I feel like that's just it's a part of my job, to do that.
Perfect. Well, what I'll do is I'll put a link so that people can just click directly on it, and hopefully by the time this airs, that link might be to your new website, and that way people can check out all of the new things that you're doing, all the wonderful programs and products that you have, and get to know you a little bit better.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure talking with you today and sharing.
Well, the pleasure's been all mine. This has just been wonderful, and thank you for sharing, a bit about your life and what you do. And I look forward to hopefully opening up more people to essential oils, aromatherapy, and just natural healing for themselves. So thank you so much, KG, for joining us, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks.